we're producing the same amount of coal as we did 5 years ago,
Right.
but we're not using as much. We're just shipping the rest of it to China and Germany, basically, which is interesting. So Germany shuts down nuke plants, or starts to shut them down. It's going to take a while. In fact, they may never get it quite done, but they're going to shut it down, so they're buying more coal. They're chasing renewables and coal. That's an interesting story in itself when you think about coal pollutes more than all the other subjects we've talked about, certainly more than hydro and nuclear and gas. So it's an issue in the world, but there'll probably be, the world's going to need 35 to 40% more energy by 2035 than we got right now. Where's it going to come from? Part of it's going to be nuclear. A lot of the world, not us so much, but the world is producing nuclear. It's going to be renewables. People are going after renewables. There'll be a lot more gas because there's going to be tight oil and gas in other parts of the world. And it's going to be coal, big coal. Therein lies
and unfortunately, a lot of that coal,
the scary issue.
And a lot of that coal is not American coal. Go to southern rim of Australia, it's brown coal, and that's what China's buying and building through Rio Tinto. That stuff is, well, you know well, right? You don't want to burn that stuff.
I lived for a year in Melbourne, Australia, trying to buy the Loy Yang B plants, brown coal.
Yeah, I've written a couple stories about, Australia had a lot of good press when the government that was in power passed a carbon restriction price domestically, but they conveniently excluded all that coal, that's the carbon they're exporting to China in their calculation of their success. So it's a small amount compared to their overall footprint, but there's a lot of this. If you don't look at the grand system, and the climate system doesn't care where those emissions are coming from, and they accumulate CO2, carbon dioxide.
We haven't thought in a systems way in this country up until recently, like Tom's plant, a few other things. Those are systems sort of thinking. Or yesterday, Roger was talking about maybe on the nuclear side, you're going to have to get multiple utilities to kind of go in together and think about it and tie it together with hydro and wind. And systems thinking is just sort of emerging.
Well, it seems kind of un-American, actually. When
it is.
We're not about that. In the New York region, for decades, I've been writing about reports that come from the Regional Planning Association, RPA, and they're really grand, ambitious reports about systems thinking for the New York region economically, and they never get followed because we're all competing with each other. So that creates a really wicked situation.